Hello, friends in Spruce Society. My name is LeeYen Anderson, and I'm here today to talk about procrastination. I don't know if it just went through. Okay, my name is LeeYen Anderson, and I'm talking about transforming procrastination. So, a lot of us, when we start getting excited about this opportunity that is in front of us to create an asset, to be of service to the world, to ourselves, to our family, we start seeing the potential of a Young Living business. And there comes a point when we start asking about procrastination. Why am I procrastinating? There's so many things I could be doing, but I'm not. So I want to give you a little different perspective on this idea of procrastination. Because the truth is, we all know with all the videos that we've watched, with the books that we've read, with the mentorship from our leaders, what it takes to be consistent in this business, right? How to every day do something that contributes to sowing seeds or harvesting or tending, if we take this business as a metaphor, the gardening metaphor for the business. So, the idea of procrastination is really a self imposed judgment. I know sometimes there are things that maybe are due, or if there's a class that you need to write and you just leave it to the last minute, and you ask yourself, why are you procrastinating? Or on the other hand, you know all these things you need to do, but you don't do them. So let's just break that down. First, talking about why you're not doing the things that you think you should do. And a lot of research has gone into why people procrastinate, and there are a couple of different theories out there, more than a couple. And I won't go into them, formally, but some of them say that ultimately it is our perception that the more we do, the more we are worthy, and the more we are able to think of ourselves as truly invested in something. And so it goes back almost always to the fact that we are putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to perform so that we may be worthy in the eyes of others. And if we actually take a step back and say, actually, no matter what rank I am in Young Living, I'm still doing the things that serve the people around me. And therefore, I shouldn't be sort of like berating myself for not being diamond in 2 years, right? And if we really take the long view, where 10 years can go by, and most people in the normal world are investing 30 years, 40 years into their career before they reach that pinnacle. And they're okay with that. So we have to really take a step back and say, why are we not okay with giving ourselves 10 years, right? So a lot of it has to do with our idea of our self-worth, our idea of how we want others to see us. And in contemplating that, there is almost always something that was programmed in you from childhood that made you believe that you had to, prove yourself. And so all the tasks that you did were connected to whether you were worthy or not of love. And so if we really address it from that point of view, we start to be more gentle on ourselves, and we when we're gentle on ourselves, when we're more relaxed, we actually become a lot more creative, and in not spending our energy on judging ourselves and asking why we're not doing the things we're meant to do, why do we procrastinate, we're actually going to take that energy and now allow it to percolate within us to come up with creative ideas that is not based on what will others think of me if I implement this idea. So it's really about taking risks, because now we've come into a place where our worthiness, our success is not based on what other people think of us. It is going to be based on how much creativity and pleasure we're getting from enacting these creative ideas without the attachment to the outcome. So it's a bigger sort of psychological inquiry inward when we're plagued by this idea of procrastination. It really is understanding that when we're not doing something, there's always something blocking us, right? And that block could be, well, I don't really know how to do this, and so I'm going to leave it till the last minute, and then it's kind of an excuse where we can say I procrastinated, it was last minute, and therefore it's not good enough, right? But if it was good enough, then we can at least sort of pat ourselves in the back and say, okay, that's the way I roll. That's the way I tend to show up, is just last minute, and it works. So either way, if we're telling ourselves we're procrastinating, there's already a self-judgment that probably needs to be looked at. But if that's the way we roll and we're okay with it and there's no talk of procrastination, then that's the way you roll, and all the more power to you. So it's always about how we talk to ourselves. And the other side of it where, okay, I think I'm kind of going into the other side already, where we have things due and why aren't we doing it? So that is kind of the idea there, that we're just afraid. There's the fear of failure. There's also the fear of success sometimes, because then there's always that high bar that you put yourself against. One of the things that happen is, we are teaching our subconscious how to behave in the real life experiences that we have. So if we procrastinated and we did really well on something, then there's this subconscious desire to repeat that. And then coupled with the fear of not wanting to fail because we have succeeded before, it all gets pretty complicated in there. And so you can imagine like a whiteboard that has all these squiggly lines, that if we turn to our oils, we're going to calm those squiggly lines, and imagine it like a lake, and it's going to be really nice and calm, and then our creative ideas just come through. As long as we're clear with ourselves that this is what we want, this is our desire, this is my vision, my dream, and I'm going to be patient and to allow for creative ideas to come through because I am committed. If those are the honest, authentic feelings within ourselves, then we have to trust that opportunities will come on our path for us to have those creative service ideas for the people that are asking us about Young Living essential oils, about what oils can do. And that then feeds into, what class can I teach? I was just asked this question. And so it becomes this momentum that builds upon itself without any self-judgment about, why am I not doing the thing that someone else is doing? Just pay attention to what is being asked of you. And so I would say that go to your oils, because there's always the idea of self-worth, the idea of overwhelm, the feeling of fear of failure, fear of success. These are all emotions that are in our emotional release book by Dr. Carolyn Mine, and I love using my oils with emotions because it is truly going to address the root causes of all our mental, suffering, for the lack of a better word. Another theory some psychologists have about why we procrastinate is to when we examine the feelings we get when we start thinking about procrastination. One of the emotions that has come up very often is guilt. Now, guilt is something that we put upon ourselves as something that we owe others, that we haven't done, or that we did and we regret. So when we look at the idea of guilt, it is really about ultimately forgiveness. How can we forgive ourselves for not getting in on time, or doing it later than we thought we should? And it comes down to being gentle on yourself, and not being so harsh. But then there's this idea that because we have this programming of guilt within us, we actually identify with that persona. So we walk around as a guilty person and indicted, before proven guilty by ourselves, by our inner judge. And so everything we do comes from this place of feeling guilt, and it's always less than what your potential could produce, because you either don't want to offend someone because you're already guilty, or you're going to adapt to this defensive attitude where you're almost like defending your own innocence even without anyone like judging you. And so it starts to morph into a lot of behavioral reactions. So then when we come back into examining, well, why do I actually identify with being a guilty person, and therefore what I choose to do or subconsciously choose to do in my life always leads to me being guilty. And that is also based on this idea that your vibration is what is going to create the scenarios in which it plays out to match your vibration. So in other words, if your vibration is that dense feeling of guilt, then there will be opportunities for you to enact, play in this drama that will make you feel guilty, and therefore prove that you are right, that your thought about yourself as a guilty person will always be right. So it gets quite complicated, but when we use our oils, then we can circumvent a lot of that mental thought processes and really get into the subconscious to reprogram the way we think, and reprogram the ruts that get us there, and reprogram our vibration. So if we look in the book, clarity is the oil for guilt, and forgiveness is the oil for unforgiveness. So really working on yourself in order that you can work this business efficiently, effectively, and with patience, with grace, with gentleness, is really of paramount importance. So if you haven't gotten the book yet, I really recommend that you use it and examine what it is. Inquire within, be curious. Why am I really procrastinating? What are the emotions that come up for me when I think to myself that I'm procrastinating? So just to wrap up, you must understand that someone who does not believe they're procrastinating and someone who believes that they are could be doing the exact same things. They could be sitting down to do something that's due tomorrow at the exact same time, but it's really about the attitude and the self-judgment involved in that. So if you are one to really finish your start doing your work and finish it just right at the last minute, and you thrive in that, that's great. As long as you don't have those self-judgments of procrastination. And if you do, then let's look further. Okay, so if you have any questions, type it down in the comments below. And just know that a lot of this work is about inviting all parts of yourself, the one who procrastinates, the one who judges, the one who's fearful, the one who's guilty, all of these different voices in your head to come have dinner with you, to sit down and to really have a dialogue. And there is no hierarchy, and yet when all voices are heard, then you might find yourself calming down a little bit. Okay, thank you so much. We'll see you next time for our classes here on Spruce Society.